Disclaimer. This is a work of satirical fiction. Any resemblance to real places or situations is purely coincidental and exaggerated for comedic effect. The story intentionally contains factual inaccuracies and absurdities as part of its artistic expression.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Bring the Fire. Today I'm joined by Jeff BERWICK. Jeff is an entrepreneur, libertarian and activist. He founded the Anarchapulco conference in Mexico 11 years ago and will once again be bringing together prominent voices from within the freedom community next month. Jeff, it's great to speak to you. You're one of very few people within the movement that didn't basically jump on the Trump train in 2016. And obviously your stance has clearly been shown to be correct, particularly in recent weeks. What are your takes on current events?
Oh man, where do you want to start, Gareth? Great to be on with you. Always a pleasure. It's current events. Check it by the minute at the moment, really. What a start to the new year, especially. For me personally, it was quite interesting. I had a 6.5 earthquake in Acapulco, where I live, on the second day of the new year. And then right after that, the peace president attacked and kidnapped Venezuela and kidnapped Maduro, who changed his outfit 5 times, flashed his Masonic hand signs for his court photo, and his wife had her Masonic black left eye, of course. And then he went on to say that he's going to be attacking Greenland, Canada, Mexico, Colombia, all part of the peace stuff. And he's still very angry he didn't get the Peace Prize. He's so angry that he's been attacking that person who won it in Venezuela, who's, of course, a Zionist. And that's why she won it. And she actually tried to give it back to him just recently so he'd stop attacking everywhere, but they wouldn't give it to him still. So I guess he's going to continue doing that on behalf of Israel, of course. It's been, and then of course right after that they had the ICE PSYOP, which was a planned event in my opinion. They put all the signals and signs onto it. It was on the 33rd block at the 3300 street of Portland Avenue, and the ICE agent, who was probably trained by the IDF, as many of them are, had 33 stitches the last time he got hit by a car, so that set off basically the new sort of riots. And that was actually just a few blocks from where they did the last PSYOP with George Floyd, which was to set off riots and stuff like that. So yeah, quite the start. We're only like 2 weeks in. Oh yeah,
and then you throw Iran into that as well, and it's it's all good fun. In terms of Mexico, actually, so obviously you're in South America, Central America technically, I suppose. If I get in trouble with my geography,
North America technically,
well, aren't we all now? But what's it like there? Because people in Mexico must be looking at what's happened in Venezuela and hearing some of the rhetoric about Mexico and, like you say, Colombia and Cuba. And is there a fear? Is there a welcoming of some kind of American involvement in Mexico?
Definitely no welcoming at all of any American involvement in Mexico. That's for sure. There's no interest in that by anybody. This whole cartel thing, of course, is mostly all lies. It's mostly, as we know, most of the drug trade in the world is all controlled by the CIA already. And even the top cartels in Mexico, they're basically in bed with the CIA. So what they're talking about when they talk about other cartels are actually just people who don't listen to the government, basically. In general, in Mexico, everything's great, actually. The economy's been doing incredibly well. A lot of people have been moving there since the COVIDs. It was one of the only countries on earth that didn't do anything whatsoever. In fact, the health minister of Mexico said it was all a scam by Big Pharma. So in general, Mexico is great, but yeah, they're talking about possibly attacking Mexico, and we'll see what happens with that. We do have in Mexico, there is a Jewish president, so that gives it some respite, because usually what they're doing is trying to install a Jewish president. They've already got one in Argentina, of course. Now they're trying to get one in Venezuela. They already have one in Mexico after a bunch of people were shot during the selections. So we'll see what happens there, but it's very interesting times with this peace president who is supposed to bring home all the troops. Remember that? He's going to balance the budget. It's actually been increasing now, the deficits again under Trump the first time with the COVIDs, which is also a pandemic psyop and a genocide and an attempt to inject everyone with nanotech. They had the biggest budget deficits and went into more debt during that time than any other president in history. That was Trump. And then now that he's back, he put out his big, beautiful bill, which is 3 lowercase b's, which is 666, which they always hide in there. And that has increased the debt by more than any other president in history yet again. While he ran on, he was going to pay off the debt, balance the budget, bring the troops home. It's going to be peace. He's been involved in a genocide now. He keeps having the genocidal murderer, war criminal who's wanted almost everywhere, Benjamin Milkowski, who uses the name Netanyahu because he's from Poland. As most Israeli presidents are. None of the Israeli presidents are actually from Israel because they're not actually from there, and they're not Semites, but they keep calling everyone anti-Semites when you say that they're bad because they're genocidal murderers. So yeah, it's been quite a time here, and it's going to get even more interesting soon with, as you mentioned, Iran, which I expect at any second, really.
Yeah, same. It's one of them. As soon as I wake up in the morning, Jeff, I'm literally scroll right. Oh, they haven't gone in yet, but I'm expecting it any day. What do you think is the obsession, with Greenland? Because there's lots of different theories with that in terms of, natural resources and minerals and all that sort of stuff. There's also the idea, maybe I was thinking of in terms of because it's a cold area, that actually if you can have all these massive, AI data centers, that you would want them in a place that's cold, essentially. I don't know if that's anything to do with it, or whether it's part of a North American Union, or whether it's even more conspiratorial into the Arctic and all that kind of stuff. What's your take on that? Because at first, I think a lot of people thought it was a bit of a joke, and now it's actually got quite serious.
Yeah, you brought up all the good points about it. It was a Club of Rome sort of American technocrat sort of area that they had planned 100 years ago that would include all the way from Canada all the way down to Venezuela, interestingly enough, and including Greenland. And then Elon Musk's grandfather, who ran the Technocrat Party in Canada 100 years ago, that was their plan as well, that exact sort of map. So you hear Alex Jones saying things like, oh, Trump's taking out the globalists. This is the globalist plan. This is exactly what they wanted. And then there's all kinds of other, benefits of taking over that area, of course. And now Trump, of course, has said, well, the reason is because there's lots of Chinese and Russian boats in the Atlantic Ocean. It's like, well, yeah, that's the ocean. And there's also been some talk that, they can't have Russia so close to the U.S. Well, I don't know if you've looked at the other side with Alaska and Russia. It's about 100 miles from Russia to Alaska. So that's not part of it, of course, but definitely the minerals. There's a lot of minerals. And you mentioned the cold weather, great for AI data centers, which Trump on his second day announced the $500 billion AI vaccine lethal injections that they want to roll out. So yeah, all the worst things, I have to say, Gareth, when I was talking about Trump this second time, it was very easy to be right on, because basically people were saying, oh, he says he's going to pay off the debt. And I was like, that's what he said last time. And he's going to, get rid of the deficit. And I was like, that's what he said last time. And so it was very obvious and easy to see, but people fell for it yet again. A lot of them are under mind control, but all that stuff is mind control with the television programming, of course, but also the algorithms on the social media and all kinds of things like that, Hollywood movies. And so it was very easy to see that he wasn't going to do anything that he said he was going to do, because that's what he did last time. Same as he said last time he was going to put Hillary in jail. And then the first thing he said once he was the president was, oh, I've never put Hillary in jail. We're best friends and all this sort of stuff. It's World Wrestling Federation type stuff. It always has been. It always will be. And so it was very easy for me to get that all right. But I actually didn't think it was going to be this bad. This has gotten like 100 times worse than I thought it was going to be. And I thought it was going to be really bad. Like the AI vaccines stuff they're doing with Larry Ellison, of course, is now one of the richest men on earth. Now he owns TikTok, of course. The war stuff I didn't think was going to be this bad. I actually thought that they might actually wind up that Russia-Ukraine thing, but no. He's gone and just completely supported the Ukraine side again, of course. Of course, the Israeli genocide, that's even just gotten worse. Now they want to do Gaza Lago, Mar-a-Lago, and built on the bones of 500,000 Palestinian children and stuff like that. And of course, expanding the Greater Israel Project now, which they've been doing for a while, into Syria, Iraq, Iran, northern Saudi Arabia. They want to do eastern Egypt as well. And then injecting the nanotech into everyone as well. And now they're rolling out the 6G, which Donald Trump just recently said, I guess they want to see deeper under people's skin, which is what they do want to do. So this has actually turned into like a dystopian nightmare, even worse than I could have imagined. Oh, and not to mention, everyone was like, well, he's now going to release the Epstein files. And, as we even just got a little bit of information on it, it became very clear that the top person who's in the Epstein files is Donald Trump. Epstein called Donald Trump his best friend for 10 years. Epstein's been photographed more with Donald Trump than anyone else on Earth by like 10 times, basically. So that's another part of it too, is just doing all this chaos so that everyone will forget the Epstein stuff, which it looks like most people have now.
What's it like in Mexico in terms of the opinion of Donald Trump? Because obviously the Anarchapulco conference is in Mexico. I was privileged to come last year. I'm coming again this year. And when I was there last year, I thought the audience and the speakers, to be fair, were kind of split down the middle with Trump. You know, half were like me and you, and half were like, oh yeah, I know it's not great, but I'm hoping that actually. Do you see that changing now, that actually it's got so, like you say, it's a lot worse than you thought it would be, and actually it's going to wake more people up to what Trump is?
Yeah, I think we've seen that. I was pretty shocked, I have to say, at how many sort of libertarian or narco-capitalist or voluntarist type people fell for it again. It's incredible how the mind control works. But of course, last year at Anarchapulco, that was in February. So Trump had just gotten in. He hadn't really done a lot of stuff yet. And so some people were still kind of had the hope, right? That's the hope and change. That's what they always have with these things. And I was pretty surprised that people fell for it again, but I can pretty much guarantee you no one feels that way this year, now that we've had a year of this. And I've actually even seen a lot of the MAGA people. So these are people under hardcore mind control. They've fallen for the left-right paradigm. And they chose their side and they stuck with their side. And even those people have seen now, like so many of them, that he's not doing any of the things he said he was going to do. And he's doing far worse things than they could ever imagine. So there's and this ICE stuff too, as well as waking a lot of people up. This is basically brown shirts on the ground, just feeding people up every day, kidnapping them, all that kind of stuff. And a lot of those ICE people are actually trained in Israel, which is very, very interesting. And of course, all the anti-Semitic stuff, they're trying to bring that out, try to pass laws against that. So I think last year, there was definitely a few people who still had a bit of hope. They're like, well, he said he's going to do this. And I kept telling them, I'm like, yeah, well, that's what they say. They're politicians. Haven't you learned this by now? But I think it's very, very clear now. And as far as Mexico goes, Mexico doesn't like any governments ever, including their own. And they definitely don't like Trump. They don't like Biden. They don't like any of them. And that's pretty standard for Mexico. And that's why I like it.
Is that what drew you to South America there? Because you're Canadian.
It's North America, just so you know.
I keep saying South American. I don't know where. Like, I was all right at geography as well, Jeff, but I've let myself slide. Is that what drew you to Mexico then? Because obviously from Canada was like actually, Canada under Trudeau was insane, and I assume it's probably just about the same now. But it's that extra sort of little bit of freedom in Mexico that allows you to live at least more like you want to live.
Well, I left Canada in 2002. I'd been wanting to live since I was a young child because it was always minus 40. And I asked, why do we live here? And it was very clear even back then, the woke stuff, the liberal sort of communist stuff is very, very prevalent in Canada. So I didn't like it for those reasons and the weather. So I left in 2002 and actually went and traveled the world. I actually bought a sailboat and I tried to sail the world and actually sank it in El Salvador 1 year to the day after I bought it. And then I just bought a backpack and I thought, I got to see what's going on in this world. Because I could just tell. Because back then the internet was still fairly new, that all the stuff that the television programming was saying, I knew was lies and about the world. So I thought, I want to see the world. And that's what I was trying to do with my sailboat. And I went on with my backpack to about 100 countries, and I ended up living in Thailand. And I had a Thai girlfriend who was pretty crazy, and she actually kind of kidnapped me, was trying to kill me. So I had to escape. And I thought, of all the 100 countries I had just gone to over the last 5 years, what was my favorite place? Because I should go and live somewhere for a while, because I've been living out of a backpack for about 6 years at that time. And I thought, the best place that I loved the most was Mexico. And I was kind of sad about it because I wanted it to be some extreme, like exotic place, because I like doing extreme exotic things. And I was like, no, Mexico was my favorite place. The people are amazing. The lifestyle is amazing. And then I thought, where was my favorite place in Mexico? And I thought, Acapulco, there was something about it. So I ended up moving there. I bought a small little studio apartment. And about 2 months later, I was at a nightclub, and I met my wife, and we've been together ever since. And that's why I've been to Mexico, really. But I'm very happy to have been there this entire time. Of course, the COVIDs, it was like nothing happened. A lot of people wore the mask. A lot of people are fearful of viruses and stuff like that. And they thought that there might be one. Of course, there wasn't one, but the government actually didn't do anything. So nothing shut down. So it was like nothing really happened in Mexico with the COVIDs. We kept running in Anarchapulco, and Anarchapulco was one of the only events that kept running throughout the COVIDs. Even Burning Man, that edgy, rebellious event in the U.S., it shut down for 2 years, but Anarchapulco kept running. We had to move it to a place called the Secret Garden, just to avoid all kinds of like issues and stuff like that. But we're actually, for the first time, just left now, and we're in Puerto Vallarta coming up in February. It's the first time we've actually kind of come out back in public since the COVIDs. So that's the reason I'm there. It's, it used to be a lot cheaper. I have to say it's a lot less of that now. It's increased because the economy's been doing so well. So many people are moving there. So it's not as cheap as it used to be. It used to be basically free. Now it's still cheaper in a place like the US or the UK or places like that, but it's not free anymore. Let's put it that way. The lifestyle is great. The government's not really involved in anything. There's no one cares about any rules or regulations or anything like that. So for a person like myself, it's basically paradise until the new Jewish president came in last year. But I have to say, no one listens to the government anyway, and she hasn't really actually done much. She's done a few things for sure, but she hasn't done too much really horrible, heinous stuff yet. In fact, she's been like most Mexican presidents, hasn't really gotten involved in too much stuff. Still to this day, I'm still very happy that I'm in Mexico.
I wonder if the Mexican presidents come in with every intention of doing X, Y, and Z, and then realize very quickly that actually that's not going to fly in a place like Mexico. Obviously, a lot of your knowledge, a huge wealth of knowledge, is about the financial system. That's your area of expertise, of course, with the dollar vigilante. What can you see 2026 bringing in terms of the financial world? I remember last time we spoke in depth, you were talking about the fact that actually, this financial crash it's on the horizon. It feels like it's getting closer. Do you still feel like that?
Oh yeah, like way more now. Like especially with gold is at all-time highs right now. Silver's at all-time highs. It just broke through $90 now, just as we're speaking. Monero's up about 100% in the last week. So this is all signs and symptoms of the collapse of basically the financial and monetary system, which is great. It's not great for necessarily everyone in terms of, like, a lot of people are going to get hurt during this economic collapse. But it's actually a good thing because it's all tied into this sort of matrix system with all their taxes and regulations and all their central banks and all these sort of things. All those things are going to collapse in the next couple of years, in my opinion. And we're actually seeing those signs of that happening right now. I think definitely this year you're going to see it for sure. In effect, like I said, it's actually a good thing. A lot of things are going to change, but those people who are prepared and ready to move on to the new world and start using new currencies, not government central bank currencies, which is how they have a lot of their power, actually. The top three reasons that they have so much power is that most people give them all their money, which is called taxes, and that's bizarre to me that people do that. But there's slaves that are worried about being whipped and put into a cage, obviously. But I'm kind of surprised that they put up with that. We'll see how much longer they put up with that. Then, of course, they also use their currency, and it's called currency for a reason. It's actually energy, and it's actually very powerful. And most people in the world today still use government central bank currencies. And that actually gives them a ton of power. So if people just stopped using their currencies, if everyone just started using Monero, which I would recommend, Bitcoin's trackable, and it's actually kind of co-opted now. If everyone in the world just started using Monero, gold, and silver as currency, you'd see most of their power go away. If they stopped giving all their money to the government, you'd see 99% of their power go away. And then the other way that they keep people under control is through the mind control, of course, which is from basically birth to death, from the government indoctrination camps. You're forced into them for 12 years. Then you go usually to a college, which is communist sort of government training. Then you turn on the television programming because you want to relax, and it's all mind control to make you believe all these things and to sell you all kinds of things that are going to make you sick and actually dumb you down and all these sort of things. And so those are the main ways that they've kept people in control. And I think it's really good that all these things are collapsing. And in fact, I don't know if you know much about this, Gareth, but I actually went with Christoph. I think you did talk to him, Christoph Melchizedek, to Egypt. He's an incredible person who believes that he knows how this matrix has been constructed, and he's been deconstructing it on an energetic sort of multidimensional level, which David Icke would be very into. I believe he's actually doing it. I've actually seen it with my own eyes in so many ways now. And he says all of these systems were actually built up under this matrix sort of, we could kind of call satanic, sort of inverted for sure. Everyone's noticed that everything in this world's inverted. The medical system makes you sick. The education system makes you dumb. The political system makes you a slave. All these sort of things. And Christoph says it's all going to collapse in the next couple of years, in the next basically 3 years. Which is a great thing. But if people aren't prepared for it, then it won't be so great for them. And that's a lot of what we talk about at the Dollar Vigilante. And actually our newsletter is the best performing newsletter, I think, in the world right now, because our main portfolio assets have been gold, silver, the gold and silver stocks, which have gone up way more than even gold and silver have, and things like Bitcoin, which hasn't performed as well, but we actually said that was going to be the case in the last year, and Monero, which has doubled just in the last week. So for anyone out there, if you want to, this is what the Dollar Vigilante newsletter is all about. It's called Surviving and Prospering During and After the Dollar Collapse, and that's coming. And that's what our newsletter is for. And it's actually not even very expensive. It's like the cost of one Starbucks Frappuccino per month, basically. It's about less than $20 a month, which used to be a decent amount of money when we started in 2010. But now in 2025, it's basically free. And so people might want to subscribe to that. We've been covering this since 2010, and we've been into Bitcoin, just so you know, since $3. We've been into Ethereum since $2, so we've done incredibly well. But no one knows about it because I'm basically banned everywhere. I'm banned like it's incredible how banned I am. But thanks to people like yourself for having me on. I can get this information out there.
Well, the shadow banning is what I find insane. Like that stuff is crazy and so obvious, and they're not even trying to hide it. In terms of, what would happen if there was a crash and the new world that could come out of the back of that, like, I know obviously it's a total microcosm, but even just in my local area in Derbyshire, when I look at certain projects and things that get done, they get done by volunteers. They don't get done by the council. They don't get done by the government. Like, they do nothing. It's the people that kind of use their blood, sweat, and tears to get stuff done. And I think to myself, every time I see something like that, whether it be, like a historical restoration project or whatever, I'm like, we could have a world where we could just barter. We don't even need to get involved in these currencies and stuff. Like, people can do stuff without government involvement. Do you think that could be what the answer is? Or do you believe that politics has a role to play somewhere in it?
Politics has no role to play in anything. Government itself, the meaning of the word is from the Latin gubernare and mente, which means mind control. That's what it is. There's no role for it. It's a criminal organization. It's an organization based on violence and theft. That's what the government does. The government survives on theft, and it enforces its criminal organization with violence. So yeah, absolutely, like that. The world would be so much better without it. One of the biggest problems is that a lot of people are under mind control and they think they need it. And so they keep trying to go back into that closet in a place like the US, which is it's a closet with a shower curtain. And then there's an Israeli voting machine in there. And then you choose between a blue elephant and a red donkey, red elephant and a blue donkey. They both have upside down pentagrams on them. This is what Anarchapulco has been talking about since the get-go, right? Is that we can do this without the government, but we have to educate enough people. Because even we saw that in Venezuela, like this was insane to me. Venezuela, I visited numerous times. I've been there at the best of times and the worst of times. I was there right after Chavez got in, so communism hadn't come in yet. Completely. And it was paradise. It was one of the richest countries on earth. It was in beautiful locations, beautiful women, great food, incredible stuff. Then it was destroyed by communism, which was, of course, basically a psychological operation done by Karl Marx, who's also Jewish. And actually not even really Jewish. Jews don't actually even exist. That's a whole other story. But basically from Khazarian, part of this Molochian death cult that your father calls the Sabbatean death cult. That's basically what it is. And so I'd seen Venezuela before, and then I went back during the worst of times around 2019, I think, when it was at like complete collapse. It was basically Mad Max. And that's all because of the government, all of it. Like none of that needed to happen. But it was so sad to me when the U.S. terrorist organization flew in and stole Maduro, kidnapped him. That so many people, if you listen to people like Alex Jones or even Donald Trump, they'll tell you there's people in the streets celebrating. Those are actually all old videos. This is like the propaganda is getting so obvious and fake now. There was actually protests that people wanted Maduro back. And I was like so sad for them. I'm like, why? just don't listen to the government anymore. Stop doing what the government says. Stop using their currency. And you brought up that we could go and use barter. We don't have to use barter. We actually have cryptocurrencies that are made for the free market. It's called Monero. It's completely private. You can't track it or do anything. So as long as the internet works, we already have an incredible currency that if everyone just started using, like I said, it would take all these things would collapse. Then we also have things like gold and silver, and there's ways to transfer those and things like that. So we don't actually have to go to barter. Barter's not great because, like, if you're a farmer and your car doesn't work for some reason, and you need to get it fixed, you need to find a mechanic who wants some eggs, right? It's kind of like, no, barter's not great, but we already have the system in place. And that's actually what I've been talking about at the Dollar Vigilante since the start is getting these things. And that's what, like for me personally, I rarely use fiat currencies. People sometimes try to pay us in fiat currencies, but as soon as they do, we convert it into Monero or gold and silver if we want to save it and stuff like that. So this is completely possible. This is the apocalypse, the lifting of the veil, right? And this is what's going on right now. And it's so incredible. And people are starting to realize that they actually have all the power. They haven't got it quite yet. It takes time, as we know, but we are very, very close. This is actually the most incredible, most amazing time ever. We're about to see all the evil stuff collapse over the next few years. And that's going to happen with or without what Christoph Melchizedek's talking about. It's already baked in the cake. That's why I started the Dollar Vigilante, is because I knew within the next decade or two, it was all going to collapse. And that's exactly where we are right now. And we can see it with gold and silver and Monero and even Bitcoin and stuff like that. It's all in a state of collapse. It's just how people will survive it, basically.
See, when you talk to people about, I've had these conversations for years about the fact that you don't need government, and people always come back with the same thing. Oh, you'd have anarchy, and it's like, well, no rulers. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Obviously, the anarchy is bolted into the Anarchapulco conference. So let's talk about that conference, because you, as you stated earlier, you've moved from Acapulco to a new location. Why is that, and what can people expect this year that maybe was different, like you said, during the COVIDs? I'm just stealing your terminology now.
Yeah, it's really been evolving, the event. It actually started out as a very, very anti-government sort of a thing. So it was Anarchapulco for a reason, anarchy. And I should point out that that word anarchy has actually, it's part of the mind control over the last century. So every single time a bomb goes off, you have the mainstream media, which is basically the CIA or Mossad or MI6 or whoever it is, basically saying, oh, it's anarchy. That's actually programming. So they've actually programmed people to think that chaos and violence is anarchy, when actually it's the opposite. That's what we're seeing the governments do. Anarchy just means no rulers. And if you think about that, most people shouldn't be against the word anarchy or anarchism, because basically if you're against it, then you're for slavery, because that means you think people need to have a violent ruler who rules over them and steals their money. It's actually insane, but that's how deep the mind control is in so many people, and it's just too bad, and it's something we have to deal with. As far as Anarchapulco goes, it's kind of changed. So at the very beginning, it was a lot of people in like black t-shirts, and we'd all get drunk, like really drunk, and really like angry about the world. And it's changed completely actually over the years, because actually, like for me personally, I realized around the year 2020 or so, right around the COVIDs, that the real problem isn't the governments. It's actually ourselves. It's actually our own minds. Our own minds actually manifest this reality. And so I came to that sort of realization, and I realized, oh, we don't need to fight against governments. We need to actually fix ourselves. And, you know, most people are running on programs, like almost everybody is. That's what the mind is. It just runs on programs. And most people haven't figured out how to actually control their mind. You can do that through meditation, which I've been doing for about 10 years now, anywhere from between 1 to 5 hours a day. And actually now I'm basically always in a meditative state. So I don't technically meditate like how a lot of people think anymore. I'm just present all the time now. I've actually controlled my mind to the point where if it does talk, I take it as like almost like CNN, like, oh, okay, yeah, thanks for that programmed information that you've been programmed with. Yeah, wipe, right? I just don't pay attention to it, which is an incredible way to go. And what I really realized was, especially back around 2020 and stuff, I was drinking a lot. I was kind of depressed because of the state of the world, right? So I let the world kind of like destroy me, right? And this is, you know, my true man show. We all have our own true man show. And I thought the problem was the world and the governments and the central banks. Turned out the problem was my own mind. And once I began to work on my own mind and fix and basically reprogram it, actually, you can reprogram your own mind. You can make yourself whatever you want to be. Then everything in the world started to change for me. And even though things are going on in the world that are horrible and heinous, specifically in Gaza and stuff like that, I'm still okay and everything's fine with me personally, because I basically have control of my own mind. So I can allow that to get me upset or not, or I can allow that information to inspire me to help make changes that can change things like that. So that's actually been the real shift in Anarchapulco. So, and a lot of we started doing like things like ayahuasca at Anarchapulco, things like DMT. Christoph's going to be doing a boga at this year's Anarchapulco. And that's helping people to actually crack out of their mind and their programming, which is super hard. Like everyone's got it. Like we've all got it. I've still got some. I find ones every day almost. I'm like, oh, there was a program that I didn't recognize because it's subconscious. It's all subconscious, a lot of this stuff. So in essence, Anarchapulco's turned into like this incredible sort of like change yourself to change the world sort of a thing, which I think was a Gandhi quote. And Gandhi might have been controlled opposition as well. Most of these people are, but he had a great quote that be the change you want to see in the world. And that's really what I see as being the way to change things. So for a lot of your audience who might be kind of like depressed or angry and, you know, the world. Well, I'm not like that. And so why am I not like that? It's because I've actually gotten control of my mind, and now I create my own reality. And I also see it for what it is. And I don't allow it to get me upset. Because, you know, if you allow these things to actually emotionally get you down, that's the point of it. So that's the thing that at Anarchapulco, so many of the speakers talk about how to change yourself. And that's been the huge change. And then we just moved out of Acapulco. That's for a few different reasons. One is we wanted to get out of where we were, which was not that we didn't love it, a place called the Secret Garden, which you've also been to. But it wasn't perfect for the event. And then we thought, well, if we're going to move out of here, and we moved there just to escape the COVID sort of stuff. And then we thought, well, if we're going to move it, maybe we should just move it somewhere else, because everyone complains like it's so hard to get to Acapulco. It has no direct flights from anywhere, basically. So if you come from anywhere outside of North America, which is the US, Canada, and Mexico, if you come from if you come from anywhere outside of there, you pretty much have to take 3 flights to get to Anarchapulco. But we thought, let's move it to Puerto Vallarta, which has direct flights from all over the world. There's even a direct flight from London. I don't know if you're on that one or not, Gareth, but hopefully you are. That'd make the most sense. But yeah, there's direct flights from all over the world that go to Puerto Vallarta. So that's why we moved it there. And already, just so you know, we've sold more tickets than we have since the year 2020 already. And we still have a month to go before the conference. And this is usually when we sell the most tickets. So this is going to be our biggest event, definitely since the COVIDs and possibly ever. And so we're pretty excited about it.
That sounds great. My flight isn't direct because I booked my flight with the very English attitude of what's the cheapest flight I can find. What do you want people to take away from Anarchapulco this time? Is it that, like you've said, to actually, because I find with a lot of conferences where people turn up, they listen to a load of people speaking for a couple of days, and then they go back and they carry on their life exactly how they did before they came to the conference. And then there's others, and I have to say, me and my wife felt like this last year after Anarchapulco. Was very kind of motivated. It was the same with Liberpulco and the events in Liberland and Serbia, where actually, I feel like I can, be that change. Actually, I feel inspired and motivated to go and take this knowledge not only from a weekend conference, but into my everyday life and conversations that I have with people at work and in the gym and wherever else.
Yeah, as far as what I want people to take out of it, I don't have any sort of intention. Anarchapulco's kind of always been sort of my gift to people because I don't make any money on it. I've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars doing the event. But people love it so much, and it's changed so many people's lives. And so many great things have come out of it, like the Jones Plantation, for example. That was when Andrew Treglia was on Anarchapulco, and he met Larkin Rose, and that's where they came up for the idea. And then we, Anarchapulco and Dollar Vigilante people helped fund that movie, which is so incredible and so important because that helps people break out of the mind control, because it is mind control. So you have to use actually counter mind control techniques to get them out of the mind control. And you can do it in a great movie. You can just sit your family down, and if they watch that movie, it's sort of like when they watch the news, it'll actually unprogram them, reprogram them to something actually good, which is realizing that they're actually under mind control, which is hard for people at first, of course, but yeah, so I don't have any intention. What I try to do is try to make it the best event possible with the most amazing people possible, bring them all together for once or twice. Now that we have Liberpulco in Serbia, once or twice a year, which I find is so important, especially after these COVID years where people were locked down, locked in the house. They couldn't travel. They couldn't do anything. I think people kind of realized then that it's kind of important to be in person. And now we have also everyone just communicates mostly online now. Almost everyone, like even us right now, we're talking through the internet, right? We're not together. Most people are just on their phones. That's how they communicate with everything. And that actually is not great for humanity. We need actual human contact. And so in that respect as well, I think it's just important that once or twice a year, we get as many of the most amazing people together in one place as possible and just see what happens. And like I said, so many incredible things have come out of it, including the Tesla machine, which is another incredible thing, which is going to be a huge part of the new world, is plasma. I found out about that at Anarchapulco 2 years ago. So the Tesla machine, which is like a life-changing, world-changing thing, came out of Anarchapulco. The Jones Plantation came out of it, and so many other things have come out of it. So that's what I basically just do with Anarchapulco, is I just try to create the space, try to make it as good as possible, and see what flourishes out of it.
Well, let's, because you've mentioned it, let's talk about the Tesla machine then, because both in Liberpulco and in Anarchapulco, obviously there's a Tesla machine there that lots of people were using. I wanted to get onto it after getting basically attacked by a swarm of midges in Serbia, but it was fully booked out. Everyone was speaking very highly of it. How does it work? I mean, this is probably going to take an hour to answer, but a short answer: how does a Tesla machine work in terms of health and getting people better?
Well, it actually is a short answer of how it works. I don't know, but so that's the answer. But what we do know is that Nikola Tesla had developed actually a very similar thing called the violet ray machine over 100 years ago. And there's lots of documented evidence that people were curing everything you can imagine with it, and very quickly. So the CIA and Donald Trump's uncle actually came in and stole all his technology and left them basically to die in a hotel room in New York City. And they spent the last 100 years trying to make sure no one ever found out about it again. And they've done a really good job. And so it basically has almost disappeared from human consciousness over the last 100 years, this plasma, which basically comes out of the ether. It's all around us. This is what your father talks a lot about, the plasma. And it was actually been removed from the periodic table of elements. It actually is the fifth state of matter. It's been removed and they act like it doesn't exist, but that's actually all around us. And that's actually what I think a lot of those old Tartarian type buildings, which have all these structures and antennas and stuff, I think it was to aggregate the plasma out of the ether. And then you would come into those buildings and get healed, basically. And so for like 100 years, like hardly anyone even knew anything about it. They've done everything. Big Pharma's done everything they can to make it so no one finds out about it. And then and then a mad scientist, a literally crazy person, like he's actually crazy, discovered a way to do it in a way that Nikola Tesla didn't do it. He did it differently, and it's actually way more powerful. It's incredibly powerful. Like, for example, Nikola Tesla's old machines 100 years ago, you can still find them. There's still a couple around. But they only run for about 10 minutes and they're quite weak. This machine that this person invented is like, I don't know how many times more powerful, but way more powerful. And it can run for hours, as you've seen in Anarchapulco and Liberpulco. And so, yeah, we've been just I discovered it at Anarchapulco 2 years ago, which is another reason I say Anarchapulco is really important in so many ways. And the person told me about it. And just like everybody, I was like, OK, sure. Yeah, well, it's a plasma machine. It takes the plasma out of the ether and it cures anything. Sure. Right. Like that, just like anyone would think, right? Because, that sounds pretty crazy. So he said, well, I'll give you one and you just try it out. And I said, okay, sure. Because I'm very open-minded. I said, yeah, maybe, right? So I actually had a dog who just passed away recently, unfortunately, Bruce Lee, who was quite old. And he actually had one of his eyes was completely white. And one of the first things I did, I was trying to use it and I thought, well, he says it cures anything or everything. So I put it on Bruce's eye. He closed his eye. I actually put it on his head near his eye for about 5 minutes and he ran off. And the next day I saw him and his eye was almost back to normal. And I put it on him again for 5 minutes. And the next day his eye was back to normal and he could see again. And I was like, whoa, maybe this guy was not crazy, right? And so then I had a maid and she had a back that was so bad she was about to quit. And she was our favorite maid. She sits at our, when we have a wedding, she sits at our table. She's part of the family. She's been with us for 15 years. And she was actually crying and she said, I can't work anymore. My back's so bad. And I thought, well, I've got this machine here. I said, well, why don't I put this on your back for 10 minutes, see what happens? I put it on her back for 10 minutes, completely fine. Her back had been bothering her for 10 years. And her back was basically cured in that day. And she was walking around the next day with my son on her back. And she's been happy ever since. Then I tried it with another aunt with another back problem. Same thing. It was totally fixed in one session. Then I started using it actually every day because he said, yeah, just use it every day. It gives you incredible energy. It'll make your body run like you're 18 again. So I used it every day for a year. And I found my energy levels were insane. I can be up at 6 a.m. and go to midnight. I can work the entire day. I can be walking the entire time. It doesn't matter. I don't get tired. I have limitless energy. And then at Anarchapulco last year, a woman had a biofeedback machine and a quantum biofeedback machine. It's a pretty like major instrument. And she had been testing people, and it shows you your metabolic age, your tissue age, all kinds of stuff about your body. And most people would get the same age as their current age, plus or minus like 5 or 10 years. Most people were like more than like plus because they're quite unhealthy. So they'd have an age, like a metabolic or tissue age that's like 5 or 10 years older than what they actually were. And she did me, and she was like, "Whoa!" And I was like, "What?" She went, because I'm 55 right now, just so you know. And she said, "You have the tissue age and metabolic age of a 30-year-old." And I was like, "Whoa, that's like half my age." And she said, "You have the energy in your cells. I've never seen this before of same as a 12-year-old child." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. Like, I've been using this machine for like a year." So it actually has been de-aging me as well. So yeah, all this stuff. And I've healed so many people. Like even at Anarchapulco, there was a woman, I don't know if you saw her last year, with the multiple sclerosis. She could barely walk. She had a cane. She fell down twice just walking over to where the machine was. They did it with her a couple of times, and she threw away her cane, and she was massively improved. I've seen this hundreds of times now, and actually there's a club for it, and with a Telegram group, and every day people are posting, "Yeah, my dad had a stroke, but now he's fine." Like the next day, Max Egan cured a girl who had myocarditis from the lethal injections, they say myocarditis you actually can't cure, but she went back to the doctor after a month of using the machine that she didn't have myocarditis anymore. There's people who are going to have their legs amputated. They couldn't walk. They used it for a couple of weeks, and then they're now walking like miles a day. All kinds of stuff like that. So yeah, this is miraculous. This is actually like world. Excuse me. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat. Let me have a glass of water. Drink water here. There we go.
It sounds incredible, though. It does sound.
This is going to change. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like it's the most incredible thing ever. This is going to change the world dramatically. This is, when I was talking about, we just need to get away from the governments and central banks, stop using their currency, stop giving them all our money. That's obvious, right? Start using Monero or gold or silver. But on the health stuff, almost everyone goes to their doctor. They're almost always on all these pills. They're, they go to get their check for breast cancer, and they give them radiation, which gives them the breast cancer. Once people realize and that plasma is actually around, you can actually get it. And it's actually not even that expensive, really. Like in the US, I don't know if you know this, Gareth, this is insane. Your average American family spends $30,000 a year on medical insurance. That is, yeah, I know. Like it's unbelievable. So for 1/3 of that price, you can actually have a machine that can cure basically everything in your house.
I don't think most British people earn 30,000 a year, let alone spend that on medical bills. That's insane. Do you see, just finally, Jeff, there being, because it's something we hear spoken about all the time, which is that, it might get to a point where society splits in two. And obviously some people have the attitude of, maybe half will just carry on in the matrix and the other half will go off and live on a homestead and climb trees and rather than play on video games or whatever, which I'm fine with. But do you think that maybe actually the split in society will literally just be an awareness one? Like it won't even necessarily be a physical split, but actually some people are aware and others, simply aren't.
Yeah, that's going to be the fascinating thing over the next few years, because we are seeing, like during this apocalypse, which is the lifting of the veil, we're seeing a lot of people opening their eyes and realizing what's actually going on. But a lot of people aren't. And so you're kind of seeing this complete split, which we've seen so many times now. Since the COVIDs, a lot of people woke up because of that. The Israel stuff, a lot of people woke up because of that. So how it's going to play out, I really don't know. It's going to be fascinating and, so incredible to watch this play out. Christoph Melchizedek says there's actually going to be a bifurcation in the next 7 years by the year 2032. And we're actually going to go on to 2 separate timelines is what he says, which is totally makes, I know for a lot of people, it's like 2 different timelines. That's crazy. I think there's a lot to what he says. And he basically says a lot of people, like some people are definitely going to continue on with what they're doing. They're going to keep their eyes closed. They're going to keep believing all the propaganda. And they're going to go deeper and deeper. They're actually going to they have the nanotech in a lot of them now, and they're going to actually put them into a mainframe. And basically, this is what Max Egan's been talking about for years as well. He says they're going to put you into the mainframe. Then Christoph Melchizedek basically said the same thing. And you'll actually be stuck in there, according to Christoph Melchizedek, for I think 50,000 years. so if you don't want to get stuck in there, you should kind of like truly wake up and connect with source, which is what you really need to do. And actually get control of your mind, because your mind is not you, and actually get connected to who you truly are again. And by doing that, you actually bring more of your oversoul down into your body, which is the exact opposite of what they say spiritual awakening is. They always say you have to rise up out of your body, which of course, everything in this world's inverted. You actually want to get so clean physically, Tesla machine, good diet, get some sun, grounding. Mentally, do the meditation, make sure you're not running on programs, get those programs out, reprogram your mind. And then through that, you can connect more. And then your oversoul will come back down into your body. And then you will not be controllable, and you will not end up in the mainframe, and you hopefully not end up in these smart cities, getting your injections with your digital ID and your CBDCs and all that kind of stuff. So some people are going to go that direction. And it's going to be hilarious to a lot of us who aren't to watch this. It's just like watching people kind of like in the Soviet Union when we were younger, right? We'd look at it like, whoa, how are they even allowing this or doing this? But they were under mind control, and their government told them, oh, this is great. We're the greatest country on earth. Communism is good. Capitalism is bad, and all these sort of things. And we were just sitting there watching it like, whoa. And then you'd see people escaping every now and then. And they'd be like, oh, I got out. It's like, that's what it's going to be like for us over the next few years, just watching these people, because a lot of them are going to end up in their smart cities. Like a lot of people haven't done anywhere near the amount of work yet, both physically, mentally, and spiritually, to see what's going on and get out of it, and actually do the correct things to get out of it. But a lot of us have, and a lot of us are, and that's a lot of the type of people who go to Anarchapulco, by the way. So for people, that's what a lot of us are doing. It's all this type of work. A lot of the talk is about health, because it's super important. You have to have a good physical temple, obviously, in this matrix, or it's not going to go well for you. And then a lot of the talk about meditation, about plant medicines, things like that. So yeah, it's going to be incredible watching this. This is the most, I call this a 3D video game, because that's what this is. This isn't real. We're in a 3D video game. That's basically what it is. And this is the most amazing 3D video game ever. I never would have imagined, actually, even like, you could probably attest to this as well, Gareth. Like when I was younger, I could never imagine that I would be like in the future, there'd be like this sort of satanic, pedophilic, child-eating sort of group that has taken over the world. They've inverted everything, and I'm going to have to find a way through it all and to escape the matrix, basically. Like I wouldn't have never imagined that was the case, but it actually is. And this is like the best 3D video game ever. Like I'm giving it 5 stars as soon as I'm done. I can't believe the plot twist in this one. Like I don't think anything can ever outdo this 3D video game. It's number one.
No, it sounds like a comic book from the 80s, what you've just described there, to be fair. Thank you so much for joining us, Jeff. I've loved talking to you, and obviously I'm looking forward to coming over in February and having conversations in person, because like you say, the internet's great in lots of ways that we can have this conversation across the world, but it's not the same as doing it in person. For people that are watching this that want to attend Anarchapulco, how can they get tickets? And also for people that maybe can't physically attend, I understand obviously they can attend virtually as well.
Yeah. So it's anarchapulco.com. It's coming up February 16th to the 20th. Your father's going to be speaking virtually there. You're going to be there live. Christoph Melchizedek's going to be there. Max Egan. So many incredible people. It's going to be an incredible event. There's still time to come. Like I said, there is direct flights from England to Puerto Vallarta. So if you can't make it, you can also get the virtual tickets, which you can watch the entire week. Which I think is really important. Like this is kind of like our, in my opinion, Garrett, this is kind of like our TED Talks. our Davos sort of a thing. It's our 1 week where we put on the most amazing people and they give their best sort of a thing. And so I highly recommend, if you can't make it, that you get the virtual tickets, which are about $150. And you can just watch it on your own time as well. You don't have to sit there for 5 straight days like we do and sit through it. You can like take your time. You've got a code for it to get 10% off. I think it's Icke, right?
It is.
ICKE.
Yeah, ICKE, yeah. So that's great. I'm looking forward to
promote your stuff as much.
No, I'm useless
really
at self-promotion, mate. I'm useless at it. But I appreciate you talking to us, Jeff. I appreciate your time. I always find it interesting talking to you because, one, you're an interesting guy, but also you say it as it is, and I always like that. You know, where some people just go around the sun to get to the moon sometimes in terms of making a point, where you will just come out and say it. And I do love that, and I'm sure our viewers appreciate that. So thanks a lot, and I appreciate your time, and I'll see you next month.
Well, we don't have much time left. That's why I just say it how it is now. We don't have time to be like explaining it all. Like your dad's been trying to explain it for decades now. So thanks to him for doing all that work. That was so incredible. But now we're in the final months or years here now. So we got to like get things moving. And just so people know, we'll have 2 Tesla machines running at Anarchapulco if you want to come and try it as well. And I should let you know, because I didn't mention it, the website for that is tzla.club if you want to check that out. And yeah, Gareth, I can't wait to see you again. It's going to be incredible. We've got a full family camp the entire week if people want to bring their kids. It's an incredible event. I highly recommend it. And yeah, get you some sun and maybe get out in the ocean as well, and get you in the ocean, get you really grounded and all that kind of stuff. Get you on the Tesla machine. We'll get you all in great shape to go back and to the English winters there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's my sun, the sun that I need to prepare me for the winter here for sure. Cheers, Jeff. Thanks so much, mate. And I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate. And thank you, as always, to everyone tuning in at home. We appreciate it. I'll be back again next week when I'll be bringing the fire once again. Good day.
Hey, it's Christian Jordanov. I'm so excited that I'll be speaking at Anarchapulco in 2026. This is by far the best gathering with the best people that I've ever been to. I was there in 2024 and in 2025, made the trip all the way from Portugal there, and it was worth it 100%. So if you've not been there yet, you are in for an absolute treat. I really hope that I'll see you there, that we can hang out together and have some fun, enjoy each other's company, and celebrate peace, love, and anarchy together. See you there.
Fire starts spark like flint. Ideas ricochet, no permission, no stint. Borders dissolve, minds expand. Every soul sovereign, every mind grand. No contract signed, just a handshake truth. Ancient wisdom reborn in the fountain of youth. Rules crumble like castles at high tide. Revolution lives where the dreamers reside. Golden horizon, the birth of the free. Echoes of laughter, the waves decree. Freedom is anthem, a beat in the chest. Anarchapulco where the restless rest. Anarchapulco where the spirit flies. New dawn, breaking under open skies. No masters, no limits, no chains to choke. This is freedom's fight, and Acapulco spoke. Anarchapulco where the spirit flies. New dawn, breaking under open skies. No masters, no limits, no chains to choke. This is freedom's fight, and Acapulco
with performing artist Ayame.
I don't need a muse or anything to do. Probably just get canceled 'cause I'm singing about the truth. Feels like we're getting wiser, don't you? Since the lies that they blew up, now nobody trusts the news.
Anarchapulco opening party on February 15th. Anarchapulco Genesis, February 16th to 20th. The Dollar Vigilante TDV Summit, February 21st. The Crypto Vigilante TCV Summit, February 22nd. Agorapulco, retreats, and other excursions, February 21st to 27th. Bufo and other plant medicines with Bearheart throughout the event. A special Iboga ceremony with Christoph Melchizedek from February 23rd. 2 Tesla plasma healing devices will be running throughout the event. Thanks to the Tesla Club. Bring the whole family. The Anarchapulco Family Camp runs throughout the event with activities for non-lethally injected, free-range, unschooled pure souls. Anarchapulco 2026. Genesis. Porto Vallarta,